As the Sun begins its annual transit through Gemini on June 15th, a highly dynamic and intellectually charged cosmic atmosphere unfolds. This transition marks a shift in collective focus from the emotional terrain of Taurus, which emphasized stability, comfort, and values, to the mental agility and communicative energy of Gemini. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, the planet of intellect, information, expression, and commerce. And with Mercury itself transiting its own sign until June 22nd, the first week of this transit becomes particularly active for learning, speaking, writing, negotiating, and short-distance travel. But this year, the solar movement into Gemini brings with it far more than just a typical shift in tone. In this particular transit, the Sun is not alone. It is accompanied by Mercury and Jupiter, who together form a rare and potent conjunction in Gemini. This trio of Sun, Mercury, and Jupiter creates a stellium that heightens awareness, learning, leadership, communication, and a sense of purpose. There is a critical factor to consider. Jupiter becomes combust in this period from June 12th to July 9th, meaning it is too close to the Sun and loses its strength. While such a combination can ignite a surge in intellectual enthusiasm and philosophical conversations, the combustion of Jupiter also brings a potential inner conflict, a sense that our wisdom is being tested, or that our judgment is clouded by ego, pride, or impulsive decision-making. With the Sun ruling authority and Jupiter symbolizing dharma, higher knowledge, and conscience, this temporary combustion could spark tensions related to belief systems, leadership roles, teachers, or institutions that guide us. Gemini, being an air sign, and one that is inherently dualistic and mutable, sets the stage for a fast-paced, mentally stimulating period. You may feel pulled in different directions, especially in how you think, speak, or decide, because Gemini constantly weighs alternatives, evaluates nuances, and often struggles to choose one clear direction. With Mercury and Sun conjunct here, people may find themselves speaking from a place of logic rather than emotion, sometimes too directly, which could lead to conflicts or misunderstandings. Sun-Mercury conjunctions, also called Buddha Diffir Yoga, generally enhance communication abilities, but can also make one overly self-centered in how they express themselves. Add Jupiter into this mix, and you have a potent blend of idealism, intellect, and expression. But all of this requires grounding if it's to be channeled productively. Adding another layer to this picture is the trinal aspect from Rahu, which is currently transiting Aquarius. Rahu, a planet known for amplifying desires, illusions, and obsessions, is placed in an Aries sign and casts its fifth aspect onto Gemini, intensifying the influence of the Sun-Mercury-Jupiter conjunction. This aspect makes the mind highly active, restless, and hungry for new ideas. People may suddenly find themselves wanting to learn foreign languages, explore new technology, dive into esoteric subjects, or simply consume vast amounts of information. Rahu's influence often distorts clarity, so the information processed or decisions made under its effect might be based more on impulse than wisdom. Social media, online learning, and digital platforms may become louder and more influential than usual. And with Jupiter combust, it becomes more essential than ever to double-check sources and stay grounded in truth before forming strong beliefs or spreading information. Mars and Ketu are transiting Leo, the Sun's own sign, which adds another dimension to this picture. Mars in Leo makes people bold, expressive, and dramatic, but when combined with Ketu, it can also lead to sudden outbursts, detachment from ego, or unexpected shifts in how we assert authority. Since the Sun is the natural ruler of Leo and is now transiting Gemini while its sign is occupied by Mars-Ketu, there's a dispositor link that binds the themes of courage, authority, ego, and detachment. Some may find themselves reevaluating leadership roles or their relationship with power and recognition. From a general perspective, the Sun's transit in Gemini symbolizes a time where the soul, Sun, is focused on learning, communication, and self-expression. The house Gemini occupies in your birth chart will tell you where your attention, energy, and focus will go for the next 30 days. But even on a collective level, this period marks an awakening of voice, whether through media, education, networking, writing, or public speaking. The mind is in the spotlight now, and with that comes both the gift of intellectual power and the danger of burnout or misinformation. Wherever the Sun goes in transit for 1 month, our soul and our focus go into things related to that house. A person will feel gravitated, motivated, or even forced to take up things related to the house where the Sun is moving. Likewise, if the Sun is transiting over any significant natal planets in your chart, especially your Moon, Mars, or Jupiter, those themes will activate prominently in your life. To accurately assess the impact of these transits, it is crucial to consider your Ascendant and Moon signs. The Ascendant sign offers insights into the timing of life events, while the Moon sign reveals how you will emotionally respond to these changes. Take into account the position of your current Mahadasha Lord in your birth chart, as it can shed light on how these transits will influence the recurring themes of your current dasha period. This transit may manifest differently for each individual, and how they navigate this transit will depend on their personal charts. A more precise understanding of the impact of this transit can be gained by examining the Sun's Ashtaka score in Gemini. Keep in mind that the effects of this transit are contingent on Sun's interaction with the planets in individual birth charts. It's also worth noting that individuals currently experiencing the influence of Sun dasha periods may feel the effects of this transit more intensely. To understand how this transit may affect you based on your zodiac sign and the houses it transits, let's delve into those specifics. For Aries, as the Sun transits into Gemini on June 15th, a powerful shift begins. The Sun, which governs your fifth house of intellect, creativity, romance, children, and speculative gains, will now move into your third house, the house of communication, initiative, travel, siblings, courage, and short-term efforts. Gemini, ruled by Mercury, will not only host the radiant Sun but also a combust Jupiter and Mercury itself. This creates a rare conjunction of three influential planets in your third house. The implications of this transit are layered and deeply transformative, especially considering that Rahu is currently positioned in Aquarius, your 11th house, and casting a mutual trinal aspect, 5/9, on this Gemini cluster. Adding more heat to this period is the fact that Mars, your sign lord, is transiting Leo along with Ketu, affecting your 5th house, the very domain the Sun naturally rules in your chart. This configuration brings your focus intensely to self-expression, content creation, writing, marketing, and bold communication. You may feel a sudden urge to take charge of your own narrative, to share your voice publicly, or to initiate new projects that require mental agility. The third house also governs skills and courage, and with the Sun, a karaka of vitality, leadership, and ambition, shining here, your desire to assert yourself in intellectual domains intensifies. This isn't a time to play small. Even if Jupiter is combust between June 12th and July 9th, its presence, along with Mercury, amplifies your thirst for knowledge and philosophical expression. You may start engaging more in podcasts, blogs, or social media initiatives, using your intellect and opinions as tools for influence. Rahu's aspect from the 11th house adds a faded, karmic energy to this transit. Rahu, known for its amplifying and illusionary nature, gives this Sun-Mercury-Jupiter conjunction a futuristic, sometimes unpredictable quality. Your ideas may be unorthodox, rebellious, or trend-setting, and the more you lean into innovation, the better the response from your audience or peers. The 11th house, where Rahu sits, rules gains, recognition, and social networks. So, the aspect on third house Gemini stellium means your communication efforts could translate into tangible social or financial rewards. A great time for influencers, digital creators, and entrepreneurs to launch campaigns, websites, or community-driven platforms. You must also be mindful of the combust Jupiter, as it weakens the guidance, wisdom, and maturity usually provided by Jupiterian energy. While you may feel confident and intellectually charged, some ideas could lack depth or sustainability. Combust Jupiter in your third house can also make you overly idealistic or preachy in your communication style. Temper your tone, and make room for others' perspectives. Mercury, the ruler of Gemini and the host of this transit, will also exit Gemini on June 22nd, which means that the first week of this Sun transit is the most charged and dynamic for initiating communication-related endeavors. Meanwhile, let's not forget the backdrop of Mars and Ketu conjoined in Leo, your 5th house. Mars is your chart ruler, and its conjunction with the fiery, spiritual Ketu in the house of creativity and children can lead to emotional volatility in romantic matters, strained relationships with offspring, or even an urge to break away from conventional creative paths. This can also manifest as erratic or overly forceful expressions of love or artistic energy. Since the Sun rules this 5th house and is now in the 3rd house, this transit could help you redirect that disruptive emotional energy into writing, journaling, or courageous self-expression. It's almost as if the cosmos is asking you to process your romantic or creative frustrations through more conscious verbal or intellectual channels. Professionally, this transit supports short travels, meetings, or discussions that can help push your goals forward. The 3rd house is also associated with marketing, sales, and freelance pursuits. So this is an excellent time to upgrade your skill set or pitch your ideas to potential collaborators or investors. Given the combust Jupiter, you'll need to be extra discerning with promises and avoid overcommitting, especially in the first half of the Sun's transit. The potential to impress people with your ideas is strong, but make sure those ideas are supported by logic and long-term strategy. Financially, This period is a mix of opportunities and caution. The trinal aspect of Rahu on the Sun in the 3rd house, while beneficial for recognition and visibility, may also tempt you into speculative ventures or fast money schemes. Since the Sun also signifies your purva punya, past life merits, and 5th house matters, investing in your talents or your children's education could yield long-term rewards. It's best to avoid risky financial moves between June 12th to July 9th when Jupiter's protective wisdom is compromised due to combustion. On the family and personal front, communication with siblings may either improve dramatically or go through sudden misunderstandings. You may find yourself more involved in your siblings' matters, or they could come to you seeking advice or emotional support. The 3rd house also rules neighbors and immediate surroundings, so changes in your neighborhood, workspace, or even a short relocation for work or training purposes is also possible. Health-wise, the 3rd house governs shoulders, arms, hands, and the nervous system. The fiery nature of the Sun, combined with Mercury's mental stimulation and Rahu's anxiety-driven restlessness, could lead to nervous tension, overworking your hands, especially if you're typing a lot, or burnout due to excess mental activity. Deep breathing, grounding techniques, and digital detoxes may be necessary, especially if you're spending a lot of time on screens or engaging in back-to-back communication-heavy tasks. Since Mars is also influencing the 5th house with Ketu, mental strain from emotional stress or romantic entanglements can spill over into physical exhaustion or digestive imbalances. Venus transiting your own sign Aries until June 29th provides a softening influence. It enhances your charm, your romantic appeal, and makes you more aesthetically expressive. This can be a great time to revamp your personal image, update your wardrobe, or work on artistic projects that involve beauty or relationships. Venus in the 1st house balances the intense intellectual energy of the Gemini stellium by reminding you to prioritize personal pleasure and self-worth. This may even enhance romantic opportunities, though with Mars-Ketu in the 5th house, keep expectations grounded. Overall, this Sun transit through Gemini is activating your voice, courage, and presence in a very significant way. You're being asked to show up, speak your truth, and channel your inner fire through structured yet expressive platforms. Whether you are a content creator, entrepreneur, or just someone looking to redefine your personal narrative, this period is rich with potential. Taurus individuals step into a period marked by intense focus on financial matters, family responsibilities, values, and self-worth, as the Sun enters Gemini. The 2nd house, where this Sun transit takes place, governs not only income and savings but also your speech, family heritage, and emotional security. The Sun, which rules your 4th house, representing home, domestic peace, inner contentment, and property, now energizes the 2nd house, drawing a direct connection between your emotional grounding and your material world. Adding to this energy is the rare and powerful conjunction of Mercury, the Lord of Gemini, Jupiter, and the Sun itself in this house. With all 3 major planets coming together in the domain of wealth and values, the atmosphere becomes ripe for intellectual engagement with finances, learning about wealth building, refining your communication style, and dealing with family legacies or emotional baggage tied to your early upbringing. Mercury gives you sharp communication abilities, Jupiter seeks expansion and higher understanding, and the Sun brings clarity and authority, all in your house of speech and money. Jupiter remains combust from June 12th to July 9th, reducing some of its protective and wise influence. So, while opportunities are abundant, they must be approached with realism and discipline. This planetary gathering in Gemini is not happening in isolation. Rahu, the shadowy planet of desires and illusions, is currently transiting Aquarius, which happens to be your 10th house of career, authority, and public life. Rahu forms a powerful trinal aspect with the Gemini stellium in your 2nd house. This creates a potent karmic axis between your earnings and your career aspirations. You may find that your hunger for recognition in your professional life becomes closely tied to your financial security. The more you shine publicly, the more you're motivated to stabilize your bank balance and create a solid reputation. This aspect can manifest in multiple ways. You might be suddenly presented with opportunities to increase income through unconventional, tech-based, or foreign-linked means. Rahu's influence can bring rapid gains, but it often comes with instability. So you must be careful not to get swept away by get-rich-quick schemes or emotionally driven investments. The presence of Mercury, a neutral but sharp planet, in your 2nd house may help you analyze financial situations with greater clarity, especially before it moves out of Gemini on June 22nd. You may also feel inspired to explore public speaking, YouTube monetization, freelance writing, or content creation as new income streams. Sun's rulership of the 4th house also brings your attention to home matters. There may be financial decisions linked to property, home renovations, or changes in the domestic setup that require your leadership. You might also be stepping into a role where you're more responsible for family finances or emotional caretaking within the home. Since the second house also rules family lineage and the values we inherit, this could be a time of reflecting on how your family history shapes your beliefs around money, status, and success. Ancestral or parental financial patterns may come into sharp focus, inviting you to either break away from them or refine them in a conscious way. Meanwhile, Leo, the Sun's own sign, is currently hosting Mars and Ketu in your 4th house. Ketu in the 4th can cause emotional detachment, dissatisfaction at home, or restlessness when it comes to your living space. Mars, which rules your 7th and 12th houses, brings intensity, aggression, or high-energy restlessness into your emotional base. You may feel a strong desire to move out, renovate, or break away from traditional family structures. For Taurus individuals, this can be an unsettling period emotionally, even if it's productive financially. It may feel like you're building wealth on the outside while feeling disconnected or uneasy on the inside. The connection between your 2nd and 4th houses during this period is vital. It suggests that financial decisions have deep emotional undercurrents. There may be pressure to provide for your family, purchase property, or take care of your parents. You might also feel a conflict between your desire for material security and your need for emotional freedom. It's important to remember that with Ketu in the 4th, you're being spiritually prompted to redefine what home truly means for you. In terms of communication, this transit can sharpen your speech and make your words carry weight. The 2nd house governs not just what you say, but how you say it. With the Sun here, you may speak with more authority, while Mercury enhances clarity and Jupiter adds a moral or philosophical dimension to your tone. With Jupiter combust, be careful of sounding overly righteous, didactic, or pompous. You may need to work consciously on striking the balance between confident expression and humble listening. Your words may hold the power to heal, or hurt, your loved ones, especially family members. Be mindful of your tone in sensitive discussions. In your professional life, the 10th house Rahu transit makes you highly ambitious, and its aspect on the 2nd house highlights the link between your social status and financial progress. This is a time where your public image and income can grow together, but it's also easy to lose sight of authenticity. You may feel tempted to project a more successful version of yourself, possibly stretching the truth to meet others' expectations. Avoid burning out while chasing material success. You may also feel pressure to upgrade your lifestyle or speak in a more polished, socially acceptable way. This is Rahu's illusion. Ground yourself in what truly matters to you. Venus, your chart ruler, is currently transiting Aries, your 12th house. This position creates a soft, dreamy, almost escapist energy. While the Gemini focus drives financial and intellectual activity, Venus in the 12th makes you crave solitude, retreat, or even luxury-based spending that might not align with practical goals. It's a beautiful placement for spiritual connection, artistic retreat, or donating to a meaningful cause, but watch your expenses. This can be a hidden drain period, where outflows silently increase if you're not careful. Health-wise, the focus on the 2nd house, combined with Leo's fiery energy in the 4th, suggests a need to watch what you eat and how you manage stress. The 2nd house rules the mouth and throat, so be careful with your diet, hydration, and speech-related fatigue. Ensure you rest and stay calm, as Mars-Ketu in the 4th could trigger emotional tension that impacts digestion or blood pressure. Overall, this Sun transit is a bridge between material expansion and emotional accountability. You are being called to step into your financial power, speak with purpose, and align your material values with your emotional truth. Opportunities for income and status are certainly strong, especially with the aspect from Rahu in the 10th, but you must guard against illusion, overexertion, and emotional burnout. The combust Jupiter reminds you to pace yourself and remain grounded in ethics and long-term vision. Your peace is your true wealth. Don't trade it for short-term praise or outward validation. For Gemini, the Sun's transit into your 1st house on June 15th marks a period of heightened self-awareness, self-expression, and an intense reevaluation of identity. The 1st house governs your physical presence, health, personality, and how others perceive you, while the Sun rules your 3rd house, representing courage, communication, younger siblings, skills, and short travels. When the Lord of the 3rd house moves into the 1st, there's a direct infusion of boldness, communicative strength, and initiative into your overall demeanor. You may feel more vocal, more expressive, and ready to stand out or initiate new actions that have been on your mind for some time. This transit is made even more significant because it is not just the Sun alone in Gemini. Jupiter, the great teacher, and Mercury, your chart ruler and the planetary lord of Gemini, are also positioned in this sign, forming a rare and potent conjunction. Jupiter's presence in the 1st house expands your confidence and boosts your charisma. While this can be incredibly supportive for your growth, you must be aware that Jupiter is combust during this time, meaning it's too close to the sun and hence loses some of its strength. This combust state can sometimes cause confusion in your belief systems. And although you'll carry an aura of optimism, there may be an inner conflict around your personal goals versus external validation. You may struggle temporarily to see the long-term vision clearly, even if you are acting with enthusiasm. Mercury's role in this conjunction is powerful and layered. As the ruler of both your first and fourth houses, Mercury's presence here brings focus on not only the self but also your emotional state, family matters, and comfort zone. Until June 22nd, when Mercury leaves Gemini, your mind will be razor sharp, and your speech can become highly persuasive. This is a brilliant time for personal branding, public speaking, or launching new ventures that rely on communication. Mercury being so close to both the Sun and Jupiter may lead to overthinking or overpromising. You might say things with great intent but later realize you've bitten off more than you can chew. Keeping your words aligned with clarity and integrity is key during this transit. What makes this period even more dynamic is the trinal aspect from Rahu in Aquarius, in the 9th house. Rahu's 5th aspect to Gemini brings an intense karmic influence onto this Sun-Jupiter-Mercury conjunction. The 9th house stands for higher learning, belief systems, teachers, international affairs, and your father or guru-like figures. Rahu's influence here could push you toward unorthodox ideas or learning systems. You may be drawn to New Age philosophies, foreign languages, or a completely radical way of thinking. This could be especially transformative when combined with the first house focus. What you believe about the world directly shapes how you present yourself during this time. Be mindful though, Rahu clouds perception. While it gives a sharp and obsessive focus, it can also create illusions or make you take paths that feel right now but lead to confusion later. Balancing your intuitive hunches with logical reasoning is essential. At the same time, Ketu and Mars transiting through Leo in your 3rd house. Sun rules 3rd house, and this Mars-Ketu conjunction here amplifies the themes of courage, communication, and willpower, but not without friction. Mars represents action and aggression, while Ketu is detachment and spiritualization. Their combination can bring sudden bursts of energy and boldness in your communication, perhaps even sharpness or assertiveness that could be misunderstood. Be cautious when dealing with siblings, colleagues, or anyone in your immediate circle. You might become too forceful or impatient without realizing it. Ketu's presence could also mean that your efforts in areas like social media or short travels may not bear fruit as expected, or they may bring spiritual growth more than material gain. Another subtle but significant dynamic is the combustion of Jupiter from June 12th to July 9th. Since Jupiter rules your 7th and 10th houses, the house of partnerships and career respectively, its weakened state can reflect confusion or temporary stagnation in those areas. Even if opportunities come your way in work or relationships, there may be a hidden catch, or you may not fully recognize their value until Jupiter regains its power. Use this time to observe, reflect, and strategize, rather than making large commitments or sudden decisions related to these two domains. Physically, the Sun in the 1st house can sometimes increase body heat, inflammation, or trigger skin issues, particularly if your individual chart has afflictions to the 1st house or Mercury. Drink plenty of water, avoid spicy or heating foods, and protect your skin from excessive exposure. Jupiter being combust may also result in weight gain or metabolic issues, so maintaining a balanced lifestyle is recommended. Emotionally, the Sun may make you feel more self-conscious, like the spotlight is on you whether you're ready or not. This can create a desire to impress, to lead, or even to dominate conversations. Self-awareness will be important so that ego doesn't overpower logic or sensitivity. In relationships, you may find that you're demanding more respect or attention. You want to be recognized for your efforts and ideas. If you're in a partnership, your assertiveness might come across as self-centeredness, so ensure you're allowing space for the other person's needs too. On the flip side, if you've been holding back and expressing what you want or feel, this is a great time to speak your truth. You're likely to be listened to now. But remember that how you say things matters just as much as what you say. There's also a beautiful undercurrent of self-development during this time. With the Sun representing your inner light, and Mercury and Jupiter both seated with it in the 1st house, you have an opportunity to reshape how you see yourself and how the world sees you. You may begin to take your own ideas more seriously. You could develop a strong interest in philosophy, leadership, or writing. It's a great time to update your appearance, personal branding, or digital presence. Avoid ego-driven decisions or image obsession. Balance your desire to shine with authenticity. Travel may be on the cards, especially short travels, pilgrimages, or journeys for learning. The 3rd and 9th houses are heavily activated, and Rahu in the 9th can stimulate international movement or deep exploration of foreign ideas. You may meet mentors, teachers, or thinkers who drastically influence your worldview. Discernment is necessary. Not all that glitters is gold, and Rahu's influence can sometimes glamorize ideas that are hollow at the core. Financially, this is a neutral to slightly favorable period. While the second house of wealth isn't directly impacted, the activation of your self-worth and visibility can create opportunities to earn more, particularly through writing, speaking, media, or consulting. With Jupiter combust and Ketu in the third, it's best not to invest impulsively or take risks based on peer pressure. Evaluate carefully. Overall, this Sun transit into your first house sign Gemini is like standing under a spotlight. You're being asked to take the lead in your own life, reintroduce yourself to the world, and refine your voice. The combination of Mercury's sharp intellect, Jupiter's expansive wisdom, and the Sun's radiant will make you a force to reckon with, but only if you anchor yourself in clarity and balance your ambitions with integrity. Watch your ego, stay humble in your pursuits, and allow this phase to refine you rather than inflate you. It's a time to be seen, heard, and remembered, but most importantly, to evolve. For Cancer, the transit of the Sun into Gemini on June 15th marks a deeply introspective and spiritually charged period. The 12th house, where this transit occurs, governs foreign lands, isolation, losses, spiritual liberation, moksha, subconscious patterns, sleep, expenditure, and everything that lies beyond the material realm. The Sun, as the ruler of your second house of accumulated wealth, family, speech, and values, entering this mystical and hidden zone suggests that matters related to money, family, and self-worth will now be processed behind the scenes, internally, or far from the physical realm, either in solitude, retreat, or even in foreign or secluded environments. This isn't a time where external validation or material success brings you satisfaction. Rather, you are drawn to inner clarity and the resolution of long-standing subconscious issues. Since the Sun represents your vitality, identity, and ego, and it is now in the 12th house, you may feel slightly withdrawn or not fully in control of your environment. This can lead to moments where your energy dips or you question your usual drive. It's not necessarily a negative thing. It's a needed pause, a divine invitation to reset, heal, and retreat from the chaos of the outer world to revisit your inner self. This transit helps in releasing pride or attachments associated with wealth or status, as you are being reminded that there is more to life than material accumulation. The scenario becomes even more profound because Mercury, the ruler of Gemini, is also transiting the same house until June 22nd. Mercury governs your 3rd and 12th houses, and in this context, its presence with the Sun and Jupiter magnifies mental activity in private or spiritual domains. Your thoughts may become more introspective, and there's a higher possibility of diving into meditation, research, spiritual literature, or writing. The 12th house is also the house of sleep and dreams, and Mercury being here may bring vivid dreams or intuitive during sleep, especially since Rahu from Aquarius is aspecting this Gemini cluster. You may feel like you're accessing subconscious layers that have long been buried or denied. Jupiter's presence in the 12th adds a philosophical and benevolent glow to this transit. Jupiter is combust from June 12th to July 9th, which slightly weakens its ability to provide wisdom and clarity during this time. As the natural significator of higher knowledge and expansion, Jupiter's combust state can bring about moments of spiritual confusion. You may feel overwhelmed with options regarding spiritual paths or uncertain about what you believe. Since Jupiter rules your 6th and 9th houses, you might also experience mixed results in areas like health routines, service obligations, or legal matters connected to foreign lands or distant goals. Your ability to judge situations objectively might be clouded temporarily, so avoid making critical decisions related to legal matters, education abroad, or long-distance travel until Jupiter's combustion phase ends. Rahu's placement in Aquarius, your 8th house, and its 5th aspect to Gemini creates a very karmic undercurrent. The 8th house deals with secrets, hidden transformations, sudden events, and psychological depths. Rahu's gaze on the 12th house can increase your fascination with mystical, occult, or psychological themes. You may be drawn to astrology, tantra, healing, or metaphysics, but this interest may come with an obsessive edge. Be careful not to fall into the trap of overanalyzing or idealizing spiritual concepts. Rahu can distort the truth, and in its connection to the Sun-Jupiter-Mercury conjunction, it can make you believe you are on a spiritual high when in fact you're being tested on your ego, detachment, or discipline. With Mars and Ketu transiting your 2nd house in Leo, the sign ruled by the Sun, there's an important financial undercurrent running through all of this. The 2nd house, which the Sun rules for you, is now occupied by its dispositor and the karmic South Node. Mars gives energy and initiative in financial matters, but Ketu's presence brings unpredictability and detachment. You might earn unexpectedly or lose interest in conventional forms of income. Speech might become curt, harsh, or overly blunt, leading to friction in family discussions. This transit suggests a karmic cleansing of how you relate to money, self-worth, and family ties, especially in connection to past decisions. Since the Sun is now in your 12th house, it further emphasizes that financial matters may be tied up in expenses, foreign dealings, hospitalizations, or donations. It's not the ideal time to make major investments or borrow money impulsively. Emotionally, this can be a highly sensitive time. With the Sun, your second lord, moving through the house of endings and isolation, you may feel detached from people you usually feel close to. There may be separation due to physical distance, misunderstandings, or simply the need for space. This transit urges you to re-examine your attachments, particularly with family members or financial expectations. Letting go is a big theme now, and although it may feel uncomfortable, it's also necessary for spiritual growth. Health-wise, this transit can bring exhaustion, disturbed sleep, or low immunity. If you have pre-existing health concerns related to the eyes, liver, or heart, all connected to the Sun, take extra precautions. Also, Jupiter's combustion could lower digestive efficiency and vitality. With Mercury also in the 12th, mental burnout or sleep-related problems may arise. Give yourself permission to slow down. Prioritize rest, solitude, spiritual cleansing, and reflection. Don't overextend yourself, especially not in trying to control external outcomes. Career-wise, there may not be a major breakthrough at this point, but it's a good time for strategic planning. If you're working in sectors connected to spirituality, research, foreign institutions, or healing, this transit may actually bless you with quiet progress. It's also a good period for those engaged in writing, spiritual teaching, or behind-the-scenes advisory roles. If you're involved in high-profile leadership or visible public work, you might temporarily feel unseen or undervalued. This phase is not about external glory. It's about building your inner light so that when the Sun enters your first house, Cancer, in mid-July, you'll emerge renewed and realigned. Relationships, both romantic and familial, may feel distant or heavy under this transit. The Sun represents ego and identity, and its 12th house journey suggests that you're meant to transcend egoistic patterns in relationships. If you've been clinging too tightly to validation from a partner or family member, the universe is gently forcing you to loosen your grip. Some of you may need to forgive, walk away, or revisit old wounds that stem from early family conditioning. Mars-Ketu in the second can also spark harsh words or heated exchanges, so control your temper and practice compassionate speech. This is the time to revisit past karmas, clear debts, both financial and emotional, and realign with your soul purpose. The Sun's presence here may push you to find your true worth beyond material validation. Jupiter and Mercury add spiritual insight and mental clarity, even if temporarily clouded by combustion and Rahu's illusion. Stay grounded in your values, and use this time to clean your inner space. For Leo, the Sun's transit into Gemini on June 15th brings an important shift of energy toward ambitions, social connections, and long-term dreams. Since the Sun is your first house lord, it represents your identity, vitality, ego, and overall sense of direction. When your first house lord enters the 11th house, the house of gains, recognition, networks, and fulfillment of desires, a phase begins where the universe opens new pathways for you to receive rewards for your past efforts. This is a favorable and promising time for expansion, though not without its own inner challenges and responsibilities, especially given the complex planetary alignments at play. Gemini, the 11th house for Leo individuals, is ruled by Mercury, your second and 11th house lord, making this house doubly important for financial stability and social capital. The Sun's conjunction here with Mercury and Jupiter intensifies the focus on wealth accumulation, career-related gains, connections with powerful people, and material success. The alignment also suggests that you're entering a phase where your charisma and leadership can help you gather allies, followers, or support for your aspirations. Since Mercury, the ruler of this sign, remains in Gemini until June 22nd, your ability to communicate, negotiate, and influence others will be at a peak during this period. This isn't a solitary journey. Jupiter, the natural significator of wisdom, guidance, and dharma, is also transiting Gemini alongside the Sun and Mercury. Jupiter rules your 5th and 8th houses, and its presence here adds an undertone of transformation, insight, and creative intelligence to the social and professional dynamics. But it's important to remember that Jupiter is combust from June 12th to July 9th, which means it is too close to the Sun and thus loses much of its strength temporarily. This combustion may make you overly idealistic in your goals or too trusting of the people in your social circle. While the 11th house is a domain of friends and networks, be cautious about whom you trust during this time. Jupiter's wisdom is dimmed, and your own discernment might be clouded, leading to unrealistic expectations or misplaced hopes. With Mercury, the lord of both your income, 2nd house, and gains, 11th house, transiting this same house and participating in the conjunction, there is a sharp focus on communication-based earnings, intellectual alliances, and networking that results in financial progress. You may attract opportunities through writing, speaking, digital platforms, or business negotiations. This is a great time to pitch your ideas, share your voice, or present your work to influential people. The close proximity of Mercury to both the Sun and combust Jupiter might create mental restlessness or overstimulation. You could be overloaded with ideas but uncertain about which to pursue. It's essential to filter out noise and focus on one or two meaningful goals rather than spreading yourself too thin. Adding another layer to this energetic climate is the aspect between Gemini and Aquarius, where Rahu is currently transiting in your 7th house. Rahu's influence on this Gemini cluster can make you hungry for recognition, ambitious to gain status through associations, or even obsessed with certain people or social roles. The 11th house is about external validation and success, while Rahu in the 7th makes you crave powerful partnerships and alliances. You might attract people who appear influential or promising, but not all connections will have depth or sincerity. Rahu can also create illusions, so ensure you're not getting lost in superficial networks or false admiration. The 7th house Rahu and 11th house Sun-Mercury-Jupiter alignment can also bring unexpected public exposure or popularity. For those working in media, politics, business, or performance-based professions, this is an excellent time to expand your audience. But remember, Rahu is unpredictable. It gives sudden highs but can also bring equally sudden confusion or downfall if you're driven by ego or external image alone. Authenticity will determine whether this rise is sustainable. Now turning our attention to your own sign, Leo, is where things get deeply personal. The Sun's own sign is currently occupied by both Mars and Ketu. Mars, as the lord of your 4th and 9th houses, in the 1st house, gives you personal strength, boldness, and a warrior-like presence. Ketu adds detachment and a certain spiritual aloofness. You are radiating magnetism and courage, but you may simultaneously feel emotionally disconnected or unsure about your inner direction. This creates an interesting paradox. While you're making gains and forming connections externally, internally you may be struggling with a lack of peace or even questioning your core desires. This Mars-Ketu energy also influences your overall behavior and how others perceive you. You may appear intense, sometimes even intimidating, as Mars pushes you to assert your dominance, and Ketu removes filters from your personality. You may speak bluntly, cut ties without warning, or act with hyper-independence. This can be both empowering and alienating. You are likely being asked to find a balance between self-assertion and humility, between bold moves and spiritual surrender. The Leo is known for its regal presence, but under the influence of Ketu and Mars, your ego may be tested. From a financial perspective, this is a powerful window for income through your own efforts, especially if you work in leadership, media, consulting, or any intellectual or advisory role. The presence of combust Jupiter cautions you not to overestimate returns or rely too heavily on future promises. Avoid extravagant expenditures just to keep up appearances or maintain status. Rahu's influence may push you towards speculative ventures or risky associations in business. Exercise caution and avoid shortcuts. In terms of relationships, this transit activates your social circle and one-on-one partnerships simultaneously. With Rahu in the 7th and the Sun in the 11th, you may find yourself interacting with people who are vastly different from you, culturally, intellectually, or ideologically. These connections can be inspiring, but also disorienting. In romantic matters, you might be drawn to someone due to their status or intellect rather than emotional compatibility. If you're already in a committed relationship, your partner may demand more recognition or feel overshadowed by your current public rise. Striking a balance between personal and professional life is key. Health-wise, the combination of Mars and Ketu in the 1st house can make you physically active and energized, but also prone to sudden heat-related ailments, irritability, or accidents caused by haste. Take care of your head, eyes, and skin. The Sun in the 11th can increase your drive but may also drain you if you're chasing too many goals at once. Burnout is possible if you don't prioritize rest, especially since Mercury's involvement can make your mind hyperactive and restless. Overall, this transit is a time of great promise, especially in terms of networking, recognition, and material fulfillment. The combustion of Jupiter, the impulsiveness of Rahu, and the emotional aloofness from Ketu can all cloud judgment. Stay grounded in your values, keep your long-term vision clear, and don't let temporary applause steer you away from what matters most. If you can use this time to align your outer success with inner clarity, you stand to gain not just wealth, but a deeper sense of fulfillment and direction. For Virgo, the transit of the Sun into Gemini on June 15th brings a sharp spotlight on your professional life, public image, and long-term ambitions. Gemini, your 10th house, is the house of karma, career, reputation, and responsibilities. The Sun, the ruler of your 12th house, when entering this house, marks a phase of intense karmic activity, especially in relation to your visibility in the world, your alignment with purpose, and how you are perceived in professional circles. It initiates a period where your leadership qualities are tested, your commitment to your work is evaluated, and your capacity to balance material ambition with spiritual intent is brought into focus. The Sun here is not just passing through alone, it is joined by Jupiter and Mercury, forming a powerful conjunction. Mercury is your first and 10th lord, which means your very identity and direction in life are intricately tied to career, intellect, and service. Mercury's presence in its own sign, albeit temporarily until June 22nd, gives you exceptional clarity in thought and communication. You will find yourself more articulate, influential in professional matters, and capable of managing complex tasks with grace. With Jupiter combust during this period, June 12th to July 9th, the clarity that Mercury brings might sometimes clash with over-idealism or distorted judgment. Jupiter rules your 4th and 7th houses, so while your career shines outwardly, your inner emotional peace or relationships might feel temporarily imbalanced. This conjunction of the Sun, Mercury, and Jupiter in the 10th house indicates a rise in visibility, a greater need for public responsibility, and the possibility of taking on higher authority or leadership roles. You might be entrusted with significant duties, offered a chance to work on prestigious projects, or find yourself recognized by your superiors. If you're in a field involving communication, law, government, consultancy, or education, this transit could provide a breakthrough. But remember, Jupiter's combustion tempers the blessings slightly. It asks you to be cautious of pride, overpromising, or assuming too much control too quickly. You might think you know it all, but this transit is also a subtle test of humility amidst success. Adding to the complexity is the presence of Rahu in Aquarius, your 6th house, which is aspecting Gemini via the 5/9 axis. The 6th house represents competition, service, enemies, disease, and daily work routines. Rahu's influence here makes you fiercely ambitious, craving professional dominance, and wanting to outshine rivals. This aspect to your 10th house, where the Sun resides, makes you hyper-focused on results, recognition, and positional growth. Rahu brings intensity and sometimes deception. You may become too fixated on public image, too competitive, or even drawn to ethically questionable ways to fast-track your career. Stay alert to this inner pull. Rahu's influence can make you blind to long-term consequences in the heat of ambition. Since the Sun rules your 12th house, its transit into the 10th activates themes of sacrifice, foreign connections, and behind-the-scenes dynamics in your career. This could mean working with overseas clients, handling foreign projects, or being involved in work that requires solitude, discretion, or spiritual alignment. In some cases, this could mean working overtime or in isolated conditions, like hospitals, research labs, or spiritual organizations. The 12th lord in the 10th also hints that some of your public gains may be tied to letting go of older attachments, perhaps moving away from a previous role, workplace, or mindset. There's a karmic undertone to this period. You are being asked to serve your highest purpose in the public sphere without letting the ego or material cravings dominate your decisions. Now consider that your own sign lord, Mercury, is part of this 10th house stellium, giving you personal drive and ambition to excel professionally. You'll likely be consumed by your work, possibly feeling that everything else in life has taken a backseat. And while this is excellent for professional success, it could lead to neglect in personal areas, especially since Jupiter, your 4th lord, is combust. Peace at home, or emotional stability may be temporarily sacrificed for the sake of external achievements. You might also feel misunderstood or emotionally distant from family during this period, despite outer success. Mars and Ketu are currently transiting Leo, your 12th house, the very house the Sun rules. Mars, as ruler of your 3rd and 8th houses, brings hidden intensity, and in the 12th, it can stir up subconscious fears, repressed anger, or desires for spiritual liberation. Ketu here magnifies the themes of detachment, isolation, and karmic unraveling. This combination can make you crave solitude while paradoxically being pushed into the limelight. You might experience internal turbulence even as the world applauds your achievements. Dreams may become vivid, spiritual instincts sharper, and your desire to find purpose beyond the material may quietly intensify. Financially, this period brings mixed but largely positive results. Income is likely to grow, particularly through intellectual work or consultancy. The 12th lord's presence here indicates that some gains might come with increased expenses, perhaps due to international dealings, travel, or support to causes beyond yourself. Be cautious about unnecessary spending just to maintain a certain public image or status. Rahu in the 6th can make you overly focused on material gain and professional rivalry, so it's important to remind yourself what your real goals are. In terms of relationships, this transit is more about your connection with society at large than with intimate partners. That said, Jupiter's combust condition, as the 7th lord, may bring temporary tension in partnerships. Your partner might feel left out or neglected as your professional life takes focus. Clear communication and conscious time investment in your relationship will help you avoid misunderstandings. If you're single, this isn't the ideal time to pursue new relationships with full clarity. Confusion, delays, or misjudgments are possible due to Rahu's distortion and Jupiter's combustion. Health-wise, the combination of Rahu in the 6th and Mars-Ketu in the 12th creates an axis of intense physical and psychological energy. You could experience sleep disturbances, overthinking, or anxiety triggered by competition or deadlines. Pay attention to the health of your nervous system, gut, and skin. It's a good time to practice mindfulness, eat clean, and build a healthier routine, as the 6th house is also the house of health and discipline. Avoid pushing yourself too hard at work without balancing it with restorative habits. One of the most important insights of this transit is that while you're being pushed outward into the world, the real transformation is happening within. The Sun, your 12th lord in the 10th, asks, what kind of legacy are you building, and how aligned is it with your inner truth? Recognition without peace is hollow. Success without purpose is fleeting. The combination of Mercury's intellect, Jupiter's combust philosophy, and the Sun's authority can make you a powerful force, but only if you balance your desire to rise with your inner need to reflect. For Libra, the transit of the Sun into Gemini on June 15 sets in motion a significant shift in your destiny-related pursuits, belief systems, and higher aspirations. The Sun, which rules your 11th house of gains, achievements, social circles, and long-term desires, is now transiting your 9th house, Gemini, the domain of Dharma, fortune, gurus, long journeys, publishing, and philosophical expansion. This house is also symbolic of your father figures and mentors. The conjunction of the Sun with Mercury, ruler of Gemini, and your 9th and 12th lord, and Jupiter, natural significator of wisdom, dharma, and expansion, in this house creates an atmosphere of intellectual and spiritual growth, karmic opportunities, and expansive thought. This isn't a lighthearted or entirely smooth transit. It is rich with karmic significance, nuanced challenges, and powerful realignments. When the Sun, your 11th lord, enters the 9th house, it bridges your worldly ambitions with higher purpose. This is the time when your social connections, professional networks, or elder siblings may play a role in opening up opportunities related to travel, education, spiritual pursuits, or publishing. You may also meet people who shift your worldview or broaden your philosophical horizons. There could be a strong desire to do something meaningful, something beyond material gains, to connect your outer success with inner growth. Since the 11th house also represents wish fulfillment and the 9th house represents fortune and blessings, this transit can catalyze long-awaited results or give you a breakthrough in areas related to law, religion, foreign travel, or higher education. Mercury, the ruler of both the 9th and 12th houses for Libra, joins the Sun here, lending a sharp intellectual tone to this entire phase. Your thinking becomes expansive, your communication style may adopt a more philosophical or global dimension, and your desire to learn or teach deepens. Whether you are preparing for a competitive exam, enrolling in a foreign course, or trying to publish your work, Mercury's presence here supports intellectual productivity and clarity. Use the first week of this transit to make important decisions, sign papers, or initiate discussions with mentors or institutions abroad. Yet, Jupiter's combust state from June 12th to July 9th cannot be ignored. Jupiter, the natural ruler of the 9th house and also the 3rd and 6th lord for Libra, brings both blessings and trials during its combustion. While it may offer you insights and even moments of grace, the combustion suggests a temporary distortion of judgment, misguided optimism, or dependency on advice that lacks depth. You may believe you're acting on divine guidance or higher truth, but it's vital to question whether your actions are truly rooted in wisdom or are driven by ego, validation, or external influence. Especially when Jupiter is too close to the Sun, there's a tendency to ignore subtler truths in favor of visible results. Rahu's aspect to the 9th house conjunction adds a layer of restlessness and obsession. You might feel a sudden urge to explore new belief systems, ideologies, or foreign cultures. There could be a fascination with learning things outside your cultural comfort zone, like mysticism, astrology, occult studies, or alternative philosophies. While Rahu expands curiosity, it can also create delusion, especially when it comes to teachers or ideologies. Be cautious about placing blind faith in mentors or foreign opportunities without verifying their integrity. Rahu's influence also shows a strong karmic undercurrent regarding higher education and travel. If you've been waiting for a visa, international opportunity, or a publishing deal, this could be a time of sudden movement. But Rahu also brings unconventionality. Your choices during this period may seem rebellious, non-traditional, or even controversial. There's a strong possibility of taking up learning that challenges societal norms, especially if it aligns with your evolving belief system. On the flip side, be mindful of ideological rigidity or moral superiority. Both are shadow effects of a Rahu-Sun dynamic. Sun's own sign Leo, your 11th house, is currently occupied by Mars and Ketu. Mars rules your 2nd and 7th houses, while Ketu brings detachment and spiritual intensity. The house of social gains and external success being influenced by Ketu and Mars suggests that your usual sources of support may become unpredictable. You might withdraw from your friends or feel disillusioned with societal validation. Mars can bring tension in friendships or group dynamics, especially if there are disagreements about belief systems, politics, or ethics. You may find yourself taking a stand on something, even if it distances you from your usual social circles. On the financial front, Mars, your 2nd lord, in the 11th house with Ketu can give sudden income gains, especially from foreign sources or hidden assets, but also create volatility. If you're involved in digital business, foreign trade, freelancing, or creative consulting, this may be a period of erratic but possibly high returns. You may also face unexpected expenses or lose interest in material accumulation altogether. You might feel that monetary success alone isn't fulfilling, and this spiritual void could lead you to invest more in charitable causes, travel, or knowledge. When it comes to personal life, this transit encourages deep introspection. The 9th house is the house of Dharma, and with your 11th lord transiting here, the cosmos is urging you to align your ambitions with higher values. If you are in a committed relationship, your partner may either inspire your spiritual growth or challenge your beliefs. If single, you may be attracted to people from different cultural or intellectual backgrounds, perhaps even long-distance romances. Rahu's influence on the 5th house also means romantic interests may come with complications, secrecy, or obsession. Don't rush in without clarity. Health-wise, the combination of Jupiter's combustion and Rahu's aspect to the 9th house can lead to overexertion, especially through travel or excessive mental stimulation. You may feel drained due to too much reading, planning, or overthinking. Since the 9th house also governs the hips, thighs, and liver, take care with diet and posture, especially during travel. Avoid rigid routines and overly controlling belief structures. They could become mental stress during this phase. From a karmic point of view, this is a deeply transformative time. The Sun, ruling your 11th house of fulfillment, is asking you to rise above selfish desire and consider how your growth can serve a greater good. There may be karmic debts related to father, gurus, or authority figures surfacing now. You might feel the urge to reconcile with them, break away from them, or become one yourself. Teaching, mentoring, or guiding others may suddenly feel more aligned than competing or achieving. There's a push to shift from ambition to purpose, from validation to wisdom. Overall, the Sun's transit through Gemini, supported by Mercury and a combust Jupiter, activates your 9th house in a way that redefines your beliefs, reorients your ambitions, and challenges your understanding of purpose. While you are poised to gain through intellectual growth, foreign opportunities, and karmic alignment, the road is not without distractions or illusions. Whether you travel, teach, study, or mentor, do it with conscious intent, and you'll emerge with both spiritual and worldly gains. For Scorpio, the Sun's transit into Gemini on June 15th marks a powerful and deeply transformative phase in your life. Gemini represents your 8th house, traditionally known as the house of sudden upheavals, secrets, hidden knowledge, joint finances, longevity, research, and inner transformation. The Sun, ruling your 10th house of career, public image, authority, and karmic duty, now moves into this mysterious and volatile zone of your chart. This isn't a light transit. It demands introspection, surrender, and courage to deal with what lies beneath the surface. The fact that this transit is accompanied by Mercury, ruler of the 8th house, and Jupiter, ruler of your 2nd and 5th houses, forming a potent conjunction in Gemini, adds layers of both spiritual and practical significance to this period. When the 10th lord, the Sun, enters the 8th house, it brings about a temporary phase of retreat or redirection in your career and public responsibilities. You may feel that your efforts are being diverted into background activities, confidential matters, or responsibilities that are not openly acknowledged. There might be a sense of being removed from the limelight, yet being burdened with important and intense duties behind the scenes. You could be dealing with sensitive material, whether it's corporate secrets, financial audits, psychological evaluations, or crisis management. This is the phase where you may not be appreciated publicly, but your impact is quietly shaping the foundation of future recognition. This Sun transit is joined by Mercury, which rules both the 8th and 11th houses for Scorpio, making it an important player here. Mercury lends its analytical, inquisitive nature to the already research-oriented 8th house. During this time, your mind becomes sharply focused on investigation, planning, analysis, and understanding hidden truths, whether in finance, psychology, astrology, or even your own life patterns. Mercury's presence suggests that through intellectual probing or consultation, you may uncover important information that leads to significant change in your professional direction or relationships. Since Mercury remains in Gemini until June 22nd, use the first week of this transit to communicate, research, or make confidential arrangements. Jupiter's role in this conjunction adds further depth. It is the ruler of your second, family, speech, wealth, and fifth houses, intellect, past life merit, children, love. Jupiter's presence in the 8th house generally favors spiritual growth, financial restructuring, and healing. From June 12th to July 9th, Jupiter is combust. Its power is weakened due to its proximity to the Sun. This means that while Jupiter's expansive energy is present, it may not function at its highest wisdom. You might misjudge situations involving joint finances, investments, family inheritance, or speculative risks. Be cautious about giving advice, trusting gurus blindly, or entering into risky agreements, especially those involving shared assets or emotional entanglements. The aspect from Rahu in Aquarius, the 4th house for Scorpio, adds another layer of complexity. The 4th house deals with inner emotional security, home life, mother, and foundational comfort. Rahu's 5th aspect onto this intense 8th house conjunction can create emotional restlessness, a desire to dig deeper into forbidden or taboo subjects, or even lead to unexpected events at home. You may find that your peace of mind is disrupted by either external changes, like repairs, property matters, or family drama, or internal shifts in your emotional core. This transit may even cause a sudden change in residence, particularly if you are dealing with inheritance, legal property issues, or relocation due to work. This Rahu-Sun dynamic between the 4th and 8th also suggests that karmic cleansing is underway. Your soul is being pulled to investigate the past, perhaps family history, old traumas, or unresolved emotional knots that you've buried. The presence of the Sun, Mercury, and Jupiter in the 8th house can awaken a fascination with occult subjects, astrology, tantra, psychology, or ancestral karma. If you are already involved in such areas, this is a powerful time to deepen your practice, undergo healing, or help others transform through your insights. Now, we must consider the impact of Mars and Ketu currently transiting Leo, your 10th house, which is also the sign ruled by the Sun. Mars, your 1st and 6th lord, along with Ketu, the significator of detachment and past life karma, together in the 10th create a tense and potentially unstable atmosphere in your career. You may feel frustrated, unsupported, or unclear about your professional path. Mars here makes you want to take aggressive action in your work life, but Ketu clouds the vision, creating confusion, delays, or strange detours. You may be forced to let go of control or shift your role unexpectedly. For some, this could mean temporary withdrawal from the workforce, spiritual contemplation about one's career purpose, or secretive professional changes that others don't see coming. As the 10th Lord Sun transits the 8th while Mars and Ketu activate the 10th itself, a sort of karmic reset is unfolding. This is a time for deep restructuring of your karmic path. You may lose interest in chasing conventional success and instead feel drawn toward deeper, more meaningful service. Alternatively, you may find yourself dealing with a professional scandal, secret politics, or intense pressure from those in authority. If you've been working on something for a long time in the shadows, this period could also be a preparatory phase before a public emergence later in the year. Financially, this transit brings both potential and caution. The 8th house governs joint finances, taxes, loans, and hidden wealth. With Mercury, 11th Lord, and Jupiter, 2nd Lord, both involved here, you may deal with income from inheritance, settlements, or partnerships. Jupiter's combustion and Rahu's shadowy influence warn against unverified investments, secretive financial dealings, or relying on too good to be true advice. It's a good time to consolidate, research, and restructure, but not to gamble or trust superficial promises. In relationships, this transit may create emotional intensity or expose underlying dynamics that were previously hidden. The 8th house is about merging, emotionally, physically, and financially, so themes of intimacy, power, trust, and vulnerability will rise to the surface. For committed couples, it may be a time of rediscovery or healing through shared vulnerability. But it can also bring jealousy, suspicion, or the need to confront buried wounds. For those dating or newly involved, this is a period where the truth about a partner's past or intentions may suddenly come to light. Tread with caution and listen to your instincts. Health-wise, the Sun in the 8th, especially with the ongoing aspect from Rahu, requires that you pay attention to your body's deeper messages. This is not a time to ignore warning signs or skip checkups. The 8th house rules chronic conditions, surgery, and reproductive organs. If something needs healing, especially conditions rooted in stress or hormonal imbalance, now is the time to address it. With Ketu in the 10th, balancing work stress with spiritual detachment is important. Let go of trying to control every outcome and trust the process of transformation. Overall, the Sun's journey through Gemini this June places you in a space of deep karmic initiation. Your role in the outer world is being reshaped from within. You are being asked to surrender, investigate, purify, and rise again, not immediately in public view, but through the inner fire of transformation. For Sagittarius, the Sun's transit into Gemini on June 15th brings a significant focus on your 7th house, governing partnerships, marriage, business alliances, contracts, and public interactions. The Sun, which is your 9th house lord, ruling over fortune, higher learning, dharma, and long-distance travel, is now moving into a domain that directly influences how you relate to others on a one-on-one level. This shift is amplified by the conjunction of Mercury, ruler of Gemini, and your 7th and 10th houses, and Jupiter, your sign lord, also transiting Gemini. When the 9th lord, Sun, enters the 7th house, divine guidance, mentorship, and opportunities tied to dharma begin to manifest through your interactions with others. Your spouse, life partner, business collaborators, or even clients can serve as a mirror or medium for spiritual growth or the realignment of your life's philosophy. There is a karmic flavor to the kind of people you attract at this time. You may meet someone who influences your beliefs, challenges your dogmas, or helps you see life from a broader, more elevated perspective. This period is not just about companionship, it's about forming alliances that shift your destiny. Mercury, which rules your 7th and 10th houses, is strong in its own sign Gemini, adding mental sharpness, persuasive communication, and networking ability to your partnerships. Mercury will remain in Gemini until June 22nd, which gives you a critical week during which negotiations, contracts, or significant conversations in both personal and professional domains should be prioritized. Since Mercury is also involved in this conjunction with the Sun and Jupiter, dialogues during this time may have long-term implications, especially in matters involving legal agreements, marriage arrangements, or collaborative ventures. Jupiter, your 1st and 4th house ruler, also joins this conjunction in the 7th house, but between June 12th and July 9th, Jupiter is combust due to its proximity to the Sun. While Jupiter represents blessings, wisdom, and expansive potential, combustion dims its light temporarily. This means that while important opportunities and growth through partnerships are available, you may feel uncertain, overconfident, or blinded by idealism. You must be careful about assuming too much about another person's integrity, or overestimating the potential of a relationship. Hidden flaws or unrealistic expectations could come to the surface later. The presence of Rahu in Aquarius, your 3rd house, brings another layer of complexity. Rahu is currently forming a powerful 5-9 aspect with the Sun, Mercury, and Jupiter in Gemini. The 3rd house governs communication, courage, writing, siblings, short travel, and efforts. Rahu's influence here makes you hyper-curious, bold, and desirous of new experiences. But the Rahu-Sun connection can also bring an obsessive tendency in relationships, be it trying to control outcomes, idealizing someone prematurely, or projecting your unmet desires onto a partner. Be mindful that while Rahu can inspire daring moves and futuristic thinking, it can also distort perception, especially in the domain of interpersonal dealings. With the 9th Lord Sun transiting the 7th house under Rahu's gaze, you may be drawn toward foreign or unconventional relationships, multicultural marriages, or business alliances with global connections. There's also a chance of reconnecting with a teacher, mentor, or spiritual guide who opens your mind but challenges your existing worldview. This transit can mark a significant milestone in long-term romantic relationships, such as engagement, marriage, or moving into a more committed phase. Due to Jupiter's combustion and Rahu's influence, some alliances may carry karmic undertones or involve complications hidden beneath the surface. Stay alert to red flags without becoming cynical. In the case of married individuals, this transit will put your spouse and marriage under the spotlight. Your partner may go through a period of self-development or express a desire for greater autonomy, education, or exploration. Their evolving identity could affect the equilibrium of the relationship, requiring maturity and adaptability on your part. Since Mercury is involved, conversations will be essential. Make time to truly listen to what your partner wants, especially if there's been emotional distance or ideological differences lately. For business partnerships, this transit can bring key discussions, new contracts, or sudden opportunities, especially those that involve teaching, writing, publishing, legal work, or online ventures. The Gemini energy supports quick thinking, adaptability, and fresh marketing ideas. With Rahu involved, make sure you do proper due diligence before signing contracts or entering deals that seem too innovative or risky. Now consider Leo, the Sun's own sign, which falls in your 9th house and is currently being occupied by Mars and Ketu. This is a potent placement. Ketu, The node of detachment and past life karma is transiting your ninth house of dharma and belief systems, along with Mars, the fiery and impulsive warrior planet. This combination suggests that your foundational belief systems, life philosophy, or trust in mentors may be under serious review. You might feel confused, disconnected, or rebellious toward traditional teachings or spiritual paths that once guided you. Some Sagittarius individuals may feel the urge to break away from inherited belief systems or question religious norms altogether. Mars' presence here makes you assertive and even confrontational when it comes to challenging the status quo of your faith or ideology. You might have strong disagreements with authority figures, father, guru, professor, or religious leader, especially if they seem rigid or outdated. The Sun's transit and the May 7th bring people into your life who reflect this tension, a partner with a contrasting worldview, or a colleague whose beliefs spark inner conflict. Use this time to reassess your personal truth without falling into extremes of arrogance or nihilism. From a career perspective, this transit is quite potent. With your 10th Lord Mercury in the 7th house, public visibility, client relations, and collaborative projects are all favored. You may be offered roles that involve consultation, negotiation, or representation. Since Jupiter is combust and Rahu is aspecting, your judgment in business dealings could be cloudy. Stick to transparency and avoid promises that you, or others, can't keep. The 7th house also rules legal affairs, so if you're dealing with a lawsuit or court matter, this transit could bring both tension and resolution, depending on how ethically the issue has been handled. Health-wise, you may experience stress issues that arise due to tension in your relationships or overstimulation from trying to juggle too many conversations, negotiations, or travel plans. Insomnia, anxiety, or blood pressure issues could be signs that you're mentally overloaded. Your nervous system is highly activated due to Mercury's influence, so include calming routines like deep breathing, journaling, and minimal screen time. Make sure not to ignore minor health signals, especially if stress manifests physically. Overall, the Sun's transit into Gemini, alongside Mercury and Jupiter, brings major activity in your 7th house of relationships. You are stepping into a period where alliances, personal or professional, carry deep karmic significance. Be it a new romance, evolving business collaboration, or a mentor-student dynamic, this phase is about learning through reflection in the mirror of others. Your challenge will be to stay clear-eyed and humble as you engage in this powerful transformation. For Capricorn, the transit of the Sun into Gemini on June 15th activates your 6th house, an intense and transformative domain associated with obstacles, enemies, diseases, competition, debts, litigation, and hard-earned success. The Sun, ruling your 8th house of sudden changes, hidden truths, longevity, secrets, research, and psychological depth, now finds itself in the 6th house, forming a conjunction with Mercury, the ruler of the 6th and 9th houses, and Jupiter, the lord of your 3rd and 12th houses. This rare planetary cluster in Gemini creates a dynamic and karmically loaded phase for you, marked by deep inner shifts, external challenges, and breakthrough opportunities, especially if you're willing to confront what's hidden and uncomfortable. The 8th Lord entering the 6th house is not a light event. It brings a surge of energy to confront your karmic backlog, and often, it brings matters to the surface that had been buried or festering in silence. Whether it's long-standing conflicts, unresolved emotional wounds, or hidden enemies in your work environment, expect this transit to peel back layers. But this exposure is ultimately for your growth, because the 6th and 8th both deal with challenges that bring power once mastered. The Sun's light in this house can help you develop resilience, courage, and a sharper sense of discernment. You may be forced to take responsibility for your health, debts, or professional duties in ways that you had been avoiding until now. Mercury, the dispositor of the Sun, is powerful in its own sign and rules both your 6th and 9th houses. It lends a practical, agile, and analytical mindset to the transit. Since Mercury is involved in this conjunction, your mental faculties will be sharp, but the house it occupies also brings heavy responsibilities. Expect a sharp increase in communication related to health matters, official disputes, paperwork, and competitive tasks. This is a time where your words can either solve problems or spark new ones, so you'll need to be especially careful in written and verbal communication, particularly in work settings. Legal matters may become active, and you must be extremely detail-oriented if you're involved in litigation or government-related work. Jupiter, your 3rd and 12th Lord, joins this conjunction in Gemini but is combust between June 12th and July 9th. This combustion means Jupiter's protective and wise qualities may temporarily go invisible, bringing confusion or lack of clarity in areas ruled by it: efforts, travel, communication, 3rd house, and expenditure, isolation, or foreign connections, 12th house. There may be restlessness in your routine, miscommunication with siblings or coworkers, or confusion in matters related to hospitals, foreign projects, or spiritual practices. Be especially cautious with financial decisions involving travel, hidden expenses, or legal settlements. Jupiter being combust in the May 6th also indicate that some losses or fatigue could result from overworking or over-idealizing your current path. A significant player in this transit is Rahu, currently in Aquarius, your second house, and aspecting Gemini through the powerful 5th/9th axis. The second house governs family, speech, wealth, food habits, and accumulated values, while the sixth deals with crises, effort, and service. Rahu's influence on the sixth house conjunction could push you toward obsessive work routines, desire to dominate competition, or achieve success at any cost. Be mindful of not compromising ethics or health in the pursuit of results. You may also speak impulsively, hurt family members through harsh truth, or get involved in verbal spats at work. The desire to prove your worth financially or intellectually can become a double-edged sword under Rahu's obsessive influence. Interestingly, Leo, Sun's own sign in your 8th house, is occupied by Mars and Ketu during this time. Mars energizes the 8th house, but Ketu's presence here detaches and spiritualizes that energy. This is a potent period for psychological healing, occult research, and removing toxic patterns related to fear, control, and dependency. With Mars and Ketu together, there could be suppressed anger, deep anxiety, or a sense of emotional isolation. You might feel the urge to control your environment or react strongly to perceived betrayals. This internal combustion of anger and detachment could influence how you engage in conflict during this transit. Be mindful not to project inner unrest into outer battles, particularly in relationships or work environments. This is also a time when karmic issues with colleagues, subordinates, or competitors may rise to the surface. You might suddenly find out who's been working against you or experience subtle power dynamics in the workplace. This exposure will help you regain your power. Just ensure your responses are strategic rather than emotional. If you're in a service-oriented profession like healthcare, law, government, or research, this period may bring heightened responsibilities or cases that test your expertise. You may also get opportunities to act as a healer, advisor, or protector for others, especially those who are suffering silently. From a health perspective, this is a sensitive time. With the 8th and 6th houses simultaneously activated, it's important not to neglect any physical symptoms. Digestive issues, nervous system stress, insomnia, or hormonal imbalances may surface. You may also be more prone to accidents, infections, or burnout if you overextend yourself. Since Rahu is in the second house and Mercury is involved in the sixth, your food habits and speech play an important role in maintaining balance. Avoid overstimulation, both mental and physical. Deep rest, detox routines, pranayama, and silent contemplation can work wonders during this period. Regular medical checkups are advised, especially if there's a history of chronic issues. In terms of relationships, this is not the most emotionally expressive time. Your energy is largely focused on fixing problems, attending to duties, and processing emotional baggage in private. There could be misunderstandings with a partner due to misaligned schedules, stress, or lack of open communication. If you are married, your spouse may need extra support in their own health or emotional journey. Singles may find themselves pulled toward intense or complicated people, possibly with a karmic or healing connection, but it may not be an easy emotional ride. It is more of a time of inner refinement than outer romance. With the 8th Lord in the 6th, and Ketu Mars in the 8th, you are being asked to burn old karmas, let go of unhealthy control patterns, and surrender to the unknown. If you've been running away from deep emotional work, this is the time to face it bravely. Your subconscious is active. Listen to your dreams, your body's signals, and moments of synchronicity. They will guide you toward healing and eventual empowerment. Overall, this Sun-Mercury-Jupiter conjunction in Gemini for Capricorn individuals brings an intense, karmic, and complex phase centered around work, health, competition, and emotional transformation. You're in a phase where confronting pain, pressure, and internal fears can lead to long-term healing and professional breakthroughs. Your biggest test will be managing the inner chaos without letting it spill over into your external world. Use your inherent Capricorn discipline to stay grounded while navigating this storm. For Aquarius, the Sun's transit into Gemini on June 15th initiates a pivotal shift that activates your 5th house, the domain of intellect, romance, children, creativity, speculative gains, past life merits, and emotional expression. This transit holds profound significance as the Sun, ruler of your 7th house, which governs marriage, partnerships, contracts, and public image, enters a trinal house and forms an intense conjunction with Mercury, the ruler of the 5th and 8th houses, and Jupiter, the 2nd and 11th Lord, in Gemini. This triple alignment is further intensified by the 5th/9th aspect of Rahu in your first house, which is deeply influencing your personality, decisions, and direction in life during this period. As if that weren't enough, Sun's own sign Leo, your 7th house, is currently occupied by Ketu and Mars, adding complexity to matters of partnerships, public identity, and personal values. The presence of the Sun, your 7th lord, in the 5th house indicates a time of deeper introspection about your relationships, your emotional satisfaction, and what truly brings you joy. The 5th house is a house of love, and the Sun represents your spouse, significant others, and one-on-one connections. This transit could ignite romantic possibilities, rekindle passion in existing partnerships, or raise questions about emotional compatibility. For some Aquarians, particularly those who are single or exploring romantic dynamics, this could be a phase of falling in love, though not necessarily without complications, especially since Rahu's aspect on the 5th house can bring karmic entanglements, intense attraction, or even emotional confusion. Mercury, as the ruler of both the 5th and 8th houses, joining this conjunction in its own sign makes this period mentally stimulating and full of introspective questioning. You may find yourself diving deep into your emotional and psychological patterns. Your thoughts might loop into past love affairs, childhood memories, or creative endeavors that were left incomplete. This is an excellent time for writing, creative storytelling, speculative investments, if well-researched, and even reconnecting with hobbies or talents that once brought joy. The presence of Mercury in its own sign supports powerful expression and creative clarity. But remember, Rahu's 5th aspect brings overexcitement, which can push you to take impulsive decisions, especially in matters of love or stock market. Jupiter, meanwhile, is also part of this conjunction and will be combust from June 12th to July 9th. This weakens its benefic guidance, even though it rules your 2nd house of speech, values, and wealth, and your 11th house of ambitions, gains, social networks, and long-term desires. During this combustion, you might struggle to articulate your beliefs clearly or experience confusion about future goals. In terms of children, students, and creative projects, delays or setbacks are possible due to Jupiter's weakened influence. Still, the presence of all 3 planets in a trinal house gives you the rare opportunity to revise your long-term plans and reorient yourself toward a more fulfilling creative and intellectual path. Now, the most prominent background influence here is Rahu, transiting through your own sign Aquarius, your 1st house, and aspecting the conjunction in the 5th house. Rahu in the 1st house can cause a temporary identity crisis, where you might find yourself overthinking your role in life, your self-image, or how you're perceived by others. It often brings a hunger for reinvention, for standing out, or even rebellion against older versions of yourself. With Rahu casting its 5th aspect onto the Sun-Jupiter-Mercury in Gemini, your thoughts may be overwhelmed with ambition, idealism, or even a misplaced sense of urgency in pursuing romantic or financial desires. This can be a double-edged sword. It may give rise to brilliant ideas, unexpected gains, or exciting romantic encounters, but also make you prone to obsession, escapism, or making decisions with clouded judgment. The Sun's own sign Leo, which represents your 7th house, is currently being transited by Mars and Ketu, both fiery, sharp, and uncompromising energies. Mars brings passion, energy, and confrontation, while Ketu brings detachment, spiritualization, or even confusion. For relationships, this could manifest as mixed signals. On one hand, you might crave connection and passion, Mars, while on the other, you might feel emotionally distant or spiritually detached, Ketu. This can lead to conflicts in partnerships, romantic or business. Misunderstandings, ego clashes, or unresolved issues from the past may resurface, especially if the foundation of the partnership lacks mutual respect or emotional authenticity. If you're married, your partner may be dealing with their own internal chaos, and you'll be called to practice more understanding. If you're seeking marriage or commitment, be cautious of entering relationships too quickly or for the wrong reasons. Children and creative projects also come into focus. If you're a parent, this period may involve more time and attention being given to your child's emotional or educational needs. They might be going through phases of rebellion, change, or new inspirations, mirroring your own inner changes. Creatively, this is an excellent period to brainstorm and conceptualize, but try not to rush implementation until Jupiter comes out of combustion in July. Financial speculation related to shares, cryptocurrency, or high-risk ventures may seem promising now, but impulsiveness could lead to losses. It's best to take a calculated approach and avoid being swayed by others' promises or media-driven hype. The 5th house relates to past life karmas and punya, meritorious deeds, and having the 7th lord, Sun, 8th lord, Mercury, and 11th lord, Jupiter, here shows a karmic activation in areas of desire, fulfillment, emotional connection, and self-expression. You may find yourself questioning the nature of your relationships, asking what you truly want, and why certain patterns keep repeating. This is a time for inner alignment and letting go of superficial connections or hollow pursuits. Practices like journaling or meditation can help restore clarity and personal power. This transit also calls for more responsibility in how you use your intellect and your influence. You may be called upon to guide others, be it students, younger siblings, or peers, especially if you're in teaching, mentoring, or public speaking roles. Ensure that your guidance is rooted in experience and not just borrowed knowledge or emotional highs. Overall, the Sun's transit in Gemini brings a blend of heart, intellect, and karmic lessons to the forefront for Aquarius individuals. With the 7th Lord in the 5th, you are navigating matters of love, creativity, speculation, and self-expression, all under the intense scrutiny and amplifying lens of Rahu. There may be a feeling of restlessness or even disillusionment at times, especially due to the influence of Mars and Ketu in your 7th house. But this is also an opportunity to purify your desires, upgrade your thinking, and reconnect with your inner child. Balance between logic and emotion, ambition and detachment, and clarity versus confusion is the key theme of this transit. Pisces individuals enter a complex and emotionally charged phase as the Sun transits into Gemini on June 15th, that revolves around inner security, domestic matters, and the balance between work and peace. The Sun, the ruler of your 6th house, which governs enemies, debts, diseases, daily routines, and service, is moving into your 4th house, the domain of home, emotional stability, property, mother, and inner peace. Gemini, an air sign ruled by Mercury, becomes the host of a powerful conjunction involving the Sun, a combust Jupiter, your sign lord, and Mercury itself. This planetary alignment in your 4th house is further magnified by a trinal aspect from Rahu transiting Aquarius, your 12th house, which adds a deeply karmic, spiritual, and subconscious layer to this period. The 4th house is your emotional foundation, your anchor. With the Sun entering this area, issues related to real estate, mother's health, domestic peace, and internal contentment rise to the surface. The Sun doesn't enter this space alone. It is joined by Jupiter, your chart lord, and Mercury, the ruler of both the 4th and 7th houses for you. This makes the conjunction especially potent, as it creates a multidimensional narrative involving your personal emotional space, relationships, partnerships, and professional obligations. Since Jupiter will be combust between June 12th and July 9th, there's a temporary dimming of wisdom and protection, especially from your own intuition. You may find yourself struggling to make balanced decisions regarding home or relationships, as your judgment might be slightly clouded by ego, pressure, or a desire to fix too much too quickly. This alignment will put a spotlight on your home life and emotional health, especially where unresolved tensions or imbalances exist. The Sun as the 6th house lord entering the 4th can trigger power dynamics within the family, confrontations, or situations where you feel the need to defend your peace. Issues with landlords, tenants, roommates, or neighbors may surface. You might also be dealing with bureaucratic matters related to land, vehicles, or government-linked property matters. Since Mercury rules Gemini, and is also transiting here, there may be contracts, documents, or communications related to property or family inheritance that require your attention. The presence of combust Jupiter in this conjunction is particularly important for you. As your sign lord, Jupiter represents your sense of self, your dharma, and your internal compass. Its combustion can lead to self-doubt, inner restlessness, or confusion about where your true peace lies. It may seem like you're trying to intellectualize emotional matters or force a solution through overthinking, when what's needed is calm reflection. This is not the best time to make rushed decisions about relocating, renovating, or taking emotional calls related to family members. Wait until Jupiter gains strength after July 9th for clearer guidance. Rahu's influence from the 12th house on this Gemini conjunction through the May 9th aspect adds a highly spiritual and foreign-linked theme to your domestic zone. Rahu in the 12th intensifies subconscious patterns, karmic dissolution, and sleep disturbances. Its trinal influence on your 4th house can push you towards spiritual retreats, overseas travel related to family, or the desire to create a sanctuary-like home environment. Rahu's nature is never content. It wants more, it wants escape. You may find yourself dreaming of faraway places or fantasizing about a different kind of life altogether. There can also be an urge to run away from emotional responsibility or to idealize an unattainable version of peace. You must stay grounded. At the same time, Mars and Ketu are transiting Leo, your 6th house, which the Sun rules. The 6th house governs enemies, service, health routines, and your ability to tackle obstacles. Mars brings aggression and drive here, while Ketu makes the energy unpredictable, detached, and spiritual. This pairing can bring either intense focus on health and discipline or utter avoidance of it. You may experience digestive or chest-related health issues due to stress and emotional repression. Alternatively, this combination could pull you towards service-oriented spiritual practices, healing work, charity, or volunteering, especially if it involves hospitals, rehabilitation centers, or animal care. Because the 4th and 6th houses are connected through this transit, unresolved stress from your routine or workplace may spill over into your home life. If you've been overworked or engaged in toxic work environments, you may feel emotionally exhausted or hypersensitive at home. It's critical that you set boundaries and allow yourself some downtime. Your mental health depends on it. Emotional safety must be built from the inside out now. Venus, meanwhile, is transiting Aries, your 2nd house, during this period, which offers a softening effect. This is a great time to use speech and expression to navigate tense situations, especially in the home, with grace. Venus in the 2nd also helps balance the combust Jupiter and aggressive Sun in your 4th by offering sweetness in your tone, even during conflict. As the grand karmic teacher, Saturn is currently sitting on your 1st house, pressing you to mature, slow down, and reevaluate your entire identity and long-term purpose. With Saturn's influence on your physical body, attitude, and demeanor, you're already being asked to evolve through hardship, patience, and solitude. This Sun transit adds emotional responsibility to the mix. You may feel like you're carrying burdens at home while simultaneously carrying the weight of the world inside. Saturn is here to temper your ego, teach you to detach from unnecessary drama, and help you build a life based on truth, not illusion. It's a grounding force, especially useful while Rahu tempts escapism and the combust Jupiter clouds inner clarity. Professionally, you may feel a need to pull back or reassess your goals. Rahu in the 12th can bring confusion about your purpose, while Saturn in the 1st pushes you toward hard-earned growth. If you've been ignoring emotional or domestic priorities in favor of outer success, this is the month you may be forced to rebalance. You may not be as visible professionally during this time, and that's okay. Sometimes, retreat is necessary for a stronger return. In your relationships, the presence of Mercury and Jupiter in your 4th house suggests a need for open conversations with loved ones. Avoid debates or condescending tones. Partners may feel that you're emotionally distant or mentally preoccupied. If you're in a live-in situation or married, joint decisions about the house or lifestyle may arise. Be patient and listen deeply before asserting opinions. Overall, the Sun's journey through Gemini sets off a period of internal work, confronting emotional stress, realigning with your core values, and learning to separate external noise from internal truth. You may crave control at home or try to fix your emotional environment, but real peace will come only when you pause, listen, and honor the stillness within. This is a time to nourish your roots. Even though external results may feel slow or foggy due to Saturn and combust Jupiter, trust that the real transformation is happening quietly, deep within. When Jupiter regains its strength and the Sun moves into Cancer, the emotional clarity you seek will begin to dawn. But for now, surrender to the process of becoming. As we conclude this episode, please remember that these insights are based on Sidereal or Vedic astrology, which accounts for the approximately 24-degree difference from the tropical zodiac. Individual predictions may vary, as every birth chart is unique. The influence of dasha periods and natal planetary placements can shape transits differently, both positively and negatively. It's essential to consider your own birth chart when applying these general predictions to your personal circumstances. If you'd like personalized predictions or have questions about your astrological chart, feel free to reach out to us. Stay tuned for more astrological updates. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, share it with others, and subscribe to our channel for more insightful astrology content. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to sharing more astrological wisdom with you in the future. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep shining bright.